In the fall of 2015, Cryptozoic Entertainment released this, Ghostbusters the board game. Now, I would not consider myself a board game fan. Like, the last board game I actually played was probably Clue in 1992, but I gave this one a shot and absolutely fell in love with it. And that's why today I'm beyond excited to unbox and review Ghostbusters the board game 2. Yes, folks, Cryptozoic Entertainment is back with Ghostbusters the Board Game 2, and much like Ghostbusters 2 the movie, this one contains a lot more slime. What's the story behind this? Well, a slime cult has hit the streets of New York City, and they're trying to resurrect Vigo the Carpathian. And with that, we're definitely going to see some old familiar friends, including, well, right here we got Janos Poha, we have the Scoleri brothers, we have the Statue of freaking Liberty. Turning the box around to the back, we've got all the player pieces, and man, this board game is stacked. And it looks like we're going to be getting bigger monsters this time, and the head of the Statue of Liberty? I can't wait, guys. I've got to open this right now. So when you crack it open, the first thing you're going to see is, of course, the Operation and Field Manual, much like the first board game. It's got the entire story inside of here about that evil slime cult trying to resurrect Vigo the Carpathian, and of course, art from the fine folks behind the IDW comic book series. Oh, and before I forget, this is the regular version of the game. This is the style of game that's going to hit retail stores. So if you back the deluxe edition, expect a lot more content inside your box. Also, you're going to pull out a bunch of these player cards here. Some are obviously for the main hero characters, Ray Stantz, Peter Venkman, so on and so forth. We've also got cards in here for some of the bad guys, like Granny Grows from the old Kenner Ghostbuster line. Also, Sore Throat, once again, from that same line. You're also going to find the scenario cards. Now, these tell you exactly how you're going to lay out your game board. And let me also just say, I love the brand new locations that feature slime coming up from beneath the streets of New York City. I also have to mention some of the later scenarios that feature some unique additions, like the Vigo the Carpathian painting. Artist Dan Schoening, that is one snappy mini Vigo the Carpathian painting. If I can get like that blown up full size so I can like put it back here, you have my email. Now, speaking of artist Dan Schoening, all the player pieces are based off of his drawings. And when you open up the box for the first time, be prepared to be blown away. The detail is fantastic, not only on the Ghostbusters themselves, but their equipment, like the slime blower. And of course, the Ecto-1A. And as the box guaranteed, we got some massive player pieces inside of here. Just check out the Washington Square Ghost. And as I mentioned earlier in this video, some of the player pieces for the Ghost are from the old school Kenner Real Ghostbusters toy line. Figures like Granny Gross are back. Also, if your New York City streets need some policing, there is X-Cop, and if New York City has some mail fraud, well, look no further than the resurrection of the Ghost, the toy, Mail Fraud. Oh, and before we forget, oh my god, Scoleri brothers! Tony Nunzio has come out of slime-filled retirement to be part of Ghostbusters the Board Game 2. And speaking of the Scoleri brothers, let me also mention that some of the characters with smaller and skinnier limbs are made of a flexible plastic, so there's no chance of arms or legs snapping off. So yes, very much like the first board game, your main goal is to bust ghosts, level up your character, and get ready for the massive threat that's about to arrive. But now you need to watch out for a brand new type of ghost, plasms. As you play the game, plasms will combine and split, and they can't be taken down by your proton pack, but instead, the slime blower. So for each playable character in the game, you've got a proton pack version and a slime blower version. Now while you're playing, if you'd like to swap out your proton pack for a slime blower, you can definitely do so. You can either get assistance from a teammate, or just forfeit all of your turns for that round. And you can also choose how you want to start the game. So if you want the proton pack, that's great. Or if you want to kick it off with Ray and Winston's reliable slime blower, you can definitely do so. So using the slime blower and busting those plasms is going to help your character once again level up. And as you fill up your ecto tank with the plasms that you bust, you'll also earn buffs for your team. Also on the map this time, you're going to find these nasty little goo piles. You can then flip the goo pile, and what you're going to find underneath is one of these goo pile cards. Drawing a goo pile card can make you draw an event card, which could drastically change the game. Or you may draw an equipment card, which could actually allow you to do something really cool, like have a slime blower, well, a miniature slime blower, and a proton pack at the same time. In short, flip a goo pile, and you're going to find some hidden events, equipment, and key items. And as a reminder, yet again, upgrade your character. Use your player card, upgrade them. You are going to want to be ready when something like the Washington Square Ghost or even Vigo the Carpathian gets unleashed. I mean, just look at this massive thing. Be prepared, be very prepared. Now, much like the original board game, you are going to be able to use the Ecto-1A as a vehicle. Now, if that's not enough, you're going to have a much larger vehicle you can actually use in later scenarios, and that is, of course, the Statue of Liberty. Your love, it just keeps lifting me higher. And I have to say, this is my favorite piece from Ghostbusters the board game too. I love the molding, I love the details, heck, there's like even speakers on the inside of her little crown area here. And the scenarios involving Lady Liberty here have been some of my favorite. Another huge improvement to the overall flow of the game is the addition of figure bases. Yes, unlike the first Ghostbusters the board game where all the characters were color-coded, now we have colored bases because they're all gray. And speaking of color bases, entities. Yes, ghosts can also have them. Now the big change up with ghosts having color bases is it actually changes how they play. They can be a bit more challenging or unpredictable depending on the color base allowed. Guys, now that I have Ghostbusters the board game, the first one, and Ghostbusters the board game 2, I can't wait to start mixing and matching pieces from them. I'm sure fans out there are going to make some pretty awesome custom scenarios, and if you do, be sure to send them my way. I mean, just think about it. Slimer from the original Ghostbusters the board game running around slime-filled streets of New York City in Ghostbusters the board game 2. And heck, what about Gozer the Gozerian as the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man teaming up with Vigo the Carpathian? I really can't wait to do that. So you know what? I'm going to cut this review off right now, and I'm just going to keep playing Ghostbusters the board game 2 from Cryptozoic Entertainment. Be sure to grab your copy when it becomes available, and you know what? I'm always looking for added players to play this with me. Hey Vigo, what about you and I? We go and we play it right now together.
In my day, we had no time for such trifling amusements.
Only a Carpathian would choose not to play such an amazing and awesome board game. In closing, I'd like to thank Cryptozoic Entertainment for sending over this early advanced copy, and we'll see you guys right back here next time on Ghostbusters News.
Ghostbusters! Black and sackcloth, mass hysteria, full roaming vapors are in your area, and these skeletons can break your bones, but I'm the writer now. Ghost, no bozos in the back of my ambulance, pulling out the firehouse, I will handle it. Back off, man, I'm a scientist, and all this hardware I brought will fry 'em quick, because astral project